Hey, how's it going? It's probably no surprise to most people, but I'm a bit of a nerd about the band The Misfits. The Misfits quickly became one of my favourite bands when I was younger, and like most fiends, I became obsessed with learning everything I could about them. And in the early 2000s, I would spend a lot of time on misfitscentral.com, lurking the forums and just generally trying to get my hands on like live recordings and rare songs and pictures and videos and all sorts of stuff. Like a lot of fans, I learned about Jerry and Doyle's post-Danzig but pre-Graves era band Kryst The Conqueror from the liner notes of the album Cuts from the Crypt, and the notes mentioned how some of the Kryst songs were sort of rewritten to become Misfits songs in the 1990s. So today we're going to have a little look at some of the Kryst The Conqueror songs that were reworked, repurposed and borrowed from for the 90s Misfits. If you haven't heard Kryst The Conqueror, the tracks are easily accessible on YouTube, thankfully preserved by fiends and heavy metal fans alike. So yeah, grab a sword, grab a Bible, and let's dive straight in. So we'll start with the first one, Kryst The Conqueror, the song by the band Kryst The Conqueror. The intro of that song was repurposed for the album Famous Monsters. It became Kong at the Gates, and then Kong Unleashed at the end of the album. Next track, it's another one that was mentioned in the liner notes of Cuts from the Crypt, which is the song Spellbound. Spellbound was basically rewritten to become Descending Angel. So the chord progression was simplified, and that was basically used for the whole song. The other part that was used in there as well was the walking bass line during the solo, and of course the guitar solo is just played an octave lower. The song In God We Trust, parts were used for an unreleased Misfits song called Talons of Steel. So it's, well, I'll just play you the two parts and you can hear for yourself. Also, a part of the solo for In God We Trust was actually used during the live performances of We Are 138 during the 90s. Rather than playing the two-note solo, Doyle would do this sort of hammer-on-y, tappy thing. Sounds something like this. Another really obvious one is Dr. Phibes Rises Again. So this was the sort of last track on the album, which was this big 7-minute epic song, which is really cool, in my opinion. I think it's a great song. The intro of it was repurposed for American Psycho. My understanding was initially they actually wanted Dr. Phibes Rises Again to be the first track of the album, American Psycho, all 7 minutes of it. But they decided against it and actually just used the first part, and it became the abominable Dr. Phibes. And on Cuts from the Crypt, there is obviously a re-recorded version of Dr. Phibes Rises Again, the whole thing, but with Graves singing, not Jeff Scott Soto. This one wasn't necessarily a Misfits track, actually it's a Doyle track from the most recent release, As We Die. The last track of that album is a song called Night of Sin. Yeah, Night of Sin. And there's just a little bit of it which I heard and I went, that sounds really familiar. Why is that? Why is that so familiar? And then I realised it's a little bit from a Kryst the Conqueror song called The Highlander. Have a listen. And I guess a bonus track would be, it's not really a Kryst the Conqueror song, but it's something that was repurposed. The song Scarecrow Man from Famous Monsters The main riff it was more or less repurposed for Gorgeous Frankenstein for the song Speed Witch. I mean, it's quite obvious when you hear the two tracks side by side. But so yeah, not necessarily a Kryst the Conqueror track, but something that I thought was just worth mentioning because it was interesting enough. So yeah, that was a little look. There's probably more. I think if I did a deeper dive into it, I could probably find some more things that are similar musically. If there's anything I missed, leave it in the comments. And yeah, weird video, really niche, nerdy shit. I'll try and get back to doing some guitar stuff in the future. I've actually got a couple of guitars actually I need to sort out, so maybe I'll film those and throw it together to get back to sort of, the stuff that this channel normally does. But hey, anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care. See you soon. Bye bye.